Hello. Hello, creative souls. Thank you for being here. I'm Elizabeth, and I'm a creative intuitive, eco spiritual designer, and life visioning guide, founder of Divine Estuary Studio, where we practice the art of letting go and bringing in the love of life. And I'm here to share with you a little bit about some of the keystone offerings, um, including a life transformation course. If you are struggling with all of the change that is occurring in the world today and in our lives, you might need some support, and especially if you know in your heart of hearts that you are capable of and want to make positive change in your personal life and therefore in the world. So I'm here to share with you some of the aspects of the Creative Life Visioning and Transformation course that I offer seasonally. And you can really jump in and join at any time, but it's a 3-month immersive experiential course to really get you into a frame of mind and have the sacred space and sacred container to really work on different aspects of your life, or one aspect of your life broadly and deeply, to affect positive change, because it's not possible out there unless it's possible in here. And that's how it works. So I'm here to support you with creating that sacred container and with the processes and the tools and the methodologies, and the love, really, the support to be able to do that. And I will help you with commitment and accountability and one-on-one feedback and correspondence within community. We are all unique. We have our unique ecosystems that are our personal lifescapes, yet there are universals that apply to all of us. So if you're interested in increasing your vitality, your health, your well-being, having better relationships, you have questions about transitioning with your work, if you're currently in a situation where you really don't like your work, then you can bring that to Divine Estuary Studio. And I want to take a little bit of time to speak about some of the concepts here. Some of the concepts I want to define: Divine, Estuary, Studio, and LifeScape, because this particular course is really your LifeScape soul studio. So what does that mean exactly? Well, I have a long history in professionally and personally with landscape and nature and building and natural building. And I also have a history in energy work and clairvoyance and intuition development. And I merge the two together to create methodologies and processes that help support us make these changes. So creating plans, for example, for a park that didn't exist before or was in, some dire need of rehabilitation. For example, you might be, one of your favorite parks might have been a brownfield site before, meaning that it was filled with toxins. It had a prior use, say, with industry, or say an automotive, purpose or something, and there were toxins dumped on the land, in the soil. And there's a lot of remediation that needs to take place to turn a site like that into a park. And right now, living in the world as we do, we are exposed to a lot more toxins than we ever have been before. And but it's not to scare you and not to alarm you, but it's just to be truthful about that. And they get caught and sequestered in our bodies, and they come in as thoughts that, limiting beliefs, um, old programs. And those can be toxins because if we believe them and they're not true or they're holding us back, then that can be released also and rehabilitated. So we'll be working on the entire being as an ecosystem, nature centered, nature focused, nature and ecologies as our guide in the natural and built and cultural environments as a metaphor for understanding the rehabilitation of our ecosystems, our personal beings, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, etherically, to help us better understand what's going on in our lives and what we can do to improve our lives. And there's a real momentum that occurs there with the health of any ecosystem. So this is really exciting work to share. I've been through my own, as you have been, and I will share that within studio. We'll hit on many issues having to do with nutrition and well-being and relationships and self-worth and purpose and all of these things. But let me start with divine. What does divine mean to you? We've had a little bit of a departure societally from the meaning of the word divine. And I think it's time to bring that back in and bring it back in from a very organic place. So, nature, trees, I love trees, and we can use a tree as an example, as a brethren, as a sentient being with us in this journey on earth right now, to partner with us and to help us energetically and to help us understand figuratively that the power that's running through a tree, for example, the creative life force energy that is intelligent, miraculous, and just full of life is within us. And we are the same as that. So reuniting with our divinity, our creative flow, the miraculous intelligence that is life, we are life, that we are, is what we'll be doing. So that's divine nature, divinity, and reconnecting with that for our guidance. So this is a soul-led. You will do the work in this studio to make the reconnections and within room of support for you. But this will be soul-led by you, and that might be worthy of the entire course. For example, you might choose to center the intention of reconnecting with your own personal and universal divinity for the course. Someone else might want to work on their relationship with themselves and their partner. Someone else might want to work on where their next home is going to be and how is it going to be. Perhaps they've experienced a lot of loss and don't feel like they have anything right now. There's the reconnection to divinity is a good first step. So, okay, estuary. What is an estuary? We'll be looking, as we are to trees, metaphorically, to ecosystems And estuary is a rich, dynamic ecosystem that we can learn a lot from. It is between places. It is between different other macro ecosystems like the ocean and the river. It's where the salt water and the fresh water mix. It's where a lot of plants and animals that can't really live other places can live in this brackish, this mixing, this transitional liminal space. It's teeming with life, and there's a lot that happens there. And to understand that our bodies are similar, our whole beings are similar, we could take cues from an estuary in letting things go and bringing things in that support a vital, teeming being. And when we bring that to the steps in our lives, to the things that are important, we can grow that. We can grow that health of that ecosystem. So when we have an understanding of some of these more esoteric terms too, within systems that we can understand, like an estuary or a building, we can then understand our own personal architecture and ecosystem as well, and take the steps needed for positive change. Studio is another concept, and if any of you have any history in art or design, you are aware of studio being a third place. It isn't a home. It's not your home. It's not where you go to work. But coffee shops, for example, are third places. They're these talk about teeming, dynamic places. They are. They're social. That people from all different walks of life get together. And in a studio situation, for example, I'm a landscape architect, and I've also have training in architecture, and I have spent quite a bit of time in traditional studio environments, and they are very exciting, very fun, and the purpose is to come together and work on solving problems with creative thinking and creating plans. And we learn a lot from each other. You meet people in those spaces that you wouldn't normally meet. And I think that's extremely healthy, especially during these times where there can be a lot of tension between different groups of people. When you really get to know somebody intimately in a studio situation, you realize how similar we are, and yet how profoundly, exponentially vibrant the whole environment can become when you come together in your energy, and your creative being. So that's studio, and my intention with Divine Estuary is to create studio environments. Right now it's online. I hope to do this also in person, and we'll bring people together and do the work of the week. There'll be a focus, a delivery of concepts, of notions, frameworks, methodologies at the beginning of each week. And then we'll get together in studio for a couple hours and we'll all work together on that. And it's gives you the sacred container of making sure you have time set aside to work on what is most important to you, your life, and to do it in an environment where you can get the feedback. Sometimes we would just put headphones on to block that out, block other people out so we can focus, and that's totally allowed here. But you know that all you need to do is take your music out and jump right in and ask me or one of your one studio mates a question, and and then go back to work. It'll also be filled with lively discussion and presentations and opportunity for feedback. So many courses these days are incredibly helpful, and I'll be sharing some of the resources that have really helped me. But it can be difficult when you don't have that personal feedback for what you're specifically working on. And so here you will. And you will also have an opportunity to observe other people, what other people are going through, and recognize that that is very helpful to you as well. The second opportunity for live interaction like that is through Q&A sessions. There'll be a weekly Q&A session offering that one-on-one feedback for you as well. So let's see. The fourth term I want to describe a little bit is just bring it back home to LifeScape. If you look at LifeScape as your personal ecosystem, and that you are a creator being who can look at all of the different components that go into a healthy, dynamic ecosystem, you can make small step improvements in all of these different areas of your life. Even if you're focusing on one for a while, it will affect all of the other areas of your life. You might be taking bigger steps over here with relationships while you're taking smaller steps over here with nutrition. And they start to come together, they interact with one another because it's an intra-connected system. What you do here affects over here and vice versa. It's an entire constellation. And so what can happen is sometimes that can seem to get you could get a little overwhelmed and a little bogged down. And it can be difficult to see, some of your shadow and blind spots and the sort of cycles of life that go through the decay and then come up the other side. And this sacred container of the LifeScape Soul Studio will help keep the momentum going, because once the momentum is going in all of these different aspects of your life, then you hit a tipping point and start up leveling. You start recognizing change, and you just know, because you're developing yourself and your intuition and your vitality and your well-being simultaneously, collectively, and jumping to next level. This is an opportunity, this is a space, this is a community, this is a process for you to up level and be in community and accountability to take the next up level. You can repeat these soul studios as often as you want. You can go broader and deeper with the same issue, like relationships, or you can take relationships to the next level. You can work on that for years, right? You could also cycle through the different aspects of your life with each studio, each 3-month studio. And there's opportunities for discounts and things like that if you keep, coming back to work on different parts and raising the whole. So if you're interested in learning more and a free consultation, contact me. And you can find all the information, many more details and contact information at divineestuary.com. Okay, see you again. Much love to you. Bye-bye.